The aim of Black Mental Matters is to tell experiences with honesty. Therefore, some discussions may trigger an adverse reaction. If a discussion is beginning to upset you, we advise that you please stop listening and talk to your support team.
Welcome again to Black Mental Matters. It's Vince the Voice Bailey along with Makeba Reed Johnson for 3.
Right.
How you doing, Makeba?
I'm doing pretty good, Vince. Thanks a lot. How are you?
Very good, very good. I appreciate you again. For those of you that don't know, Makeba is just a wealth of information. What are those credentials again, Makeba?
I have a master's in public health, master's in public administration, and a bachelor's in social work.
And in social work. So you found out early on in your life that you wanted to help folks,
Yes.
and you went forward, got the credentials. And so that's why, again, I'm just so thankful and honored to know you.
Thank you.
First of all,
Likewise.
and then have you working with the Black Mental Matters Project.
Absolutely.
We're
enjoying
helping. We're helping folks.
We are.
And I want to just take a moment to say thank you. I don't know if you've looked at the stats lately, but our SoundCloud, we're getting a lot of listeners.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So y'all
Awesome.
need to let us know, though.
That's right.
Hit us up. Let me
And
know.
subscribe.
Subscribe, all that stuff.
Yeah.
info@blackmentalmatters.com. Send it to us. So today, Makeba, we want to talk about something I know that's dear to your heart, and that is, these barriers that people are finding as it relates to getting mental health treatment.
Right.
And so first, let's identify some of those barriers, and then we're going to also give some solutions, some things that they
Sure.
can do to get past these barriers. So what are some of the barriers beyond just the, I ain't crazy
Yeah.
barrier?
Right. Well, I just want to start off just to say that around 56% of people with mental illness do not receive treatment.
56%?
56% of those with mental illness do not receive treatment, Vince. And what's startling in that is that people who usually think about mental illness are thinking about the extremity of it. Paranoid, schizophrenia,
Right.
Those types of behavior disorders. But even with depression, anxiety, bipolar disorders. People need to realize when we're talking about mental health, everybody has it. Just like everybody has physical health, everyone has mental health. And you need to start asking yourself, how you're measuring your mental health. The same way you can go to the doctor and measure your blood pressure and, your cholesterol levels. You need to be assessing where you are emotionally. Are you feeling satisfied every day? Do you wake up with energy and excitement, or do you feel like not waking up at all? Like you need to start realizing where you are with your mental health because everybody has it.
So is the question then to just put a check on it right quick is, how am I feeling? Is it as simple as that?
Well, it's how you're feeling. It's how you are perceiving the world. I've used the analogy of sometimes depression feels like you have permanent sunglasses on. It can be beautiful and sunny outside, but you still have this kind of dark cloud that's hovering over you.
Yes.
Because it's your perception of your environment around you and how you are reacting to stressors or things that are around you, and then you're unable to enjoy the things that would normally give you enjoyment.
So, they're having a party and everyone's having a good time, but you sitting over in the corner,
Right.
you just ain't feeling this thing, and it's your party.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's funny.
No, but those are some of the
Right.
scenarios that come
No,
up.
you're right.
So if that's happening, then it's, I need to take a moment and get myself
Right, to do a check-in. And with a lot of people of color, we need to start redefining what our metrics are. When people measure their success, they're looking at, their bank statement. their investment portfolio, how many assets that they have. You need to ask yourself, what are you using to measure your level of happiness? Is it, your level of education? Is it, what zip code that you're living in? It needs to be some deeper identities or some deeper things that you are connecting with and measuring. You should be feeling like you enjoy being a part of the world on a day-to-day basis.
So if you do that assessment of yourself and you find that, hey, I may need to seek some therapy, seek some help. Let me see. First of all, I don't want to go. I mean, I'm scared.
Right.
I don't want to be considered crazy. I don't want, I'm just going through the typical black man like I am thing. I don't want folks to think that I got a problem.
Absolutely.
What else? Will my insurance pay for this?
Right. So you're touching on the barriers, which universally they are, like you just mentioned, the stigma, lack of access, especially in rural areas. There aren't that many therapists in rural areas. There aren't that many treatment centers. Not knowing where to start. That's a big barrier to treatment. The high cost of treatment, the insurance requirement, the long wait. Sometimes if you finally do go through that process, you get the therapist, you get them on the phone, they can't see you till March.
Because they're a good therapist.
Exactly.
And everybody is coming in, so they can't, and
right.
so what do you do from January till March?
Right, especially if you are not in a good headspace.
Okay.
Right. And also, I just mentioned the lack of mental health professionals. That's also a problem. And then you add, the culturally competent therapists and psychotherapists out there. There just aren't that many of them. So there are a lot of barriers to treatment. And then, you've got the extended barrier or the additional barrier of race.
Well, that's one of the things that we, as a group, our Black Mental Matters group, what we really wanted to have an impact on is getting more young people to see this as a career choice.
Absolutely.
Being therapists and things like that. That could really help in that regard.
Yes. And, for everybody out there listening, if you are able to encourage a young person to, pursue a career in mental health, please do so. If you are, a celebrity and you are able to, give scholarship funds to incentivize students of color to pursue mental health professions, please do so, because there does need to be an increase of persons that are coming into the field that need to be studying it now for it to make a difference in the future.
And particularly those of color.
Absolutely.
Just like your regular doctor, I know there are folks. Well, you hear about it probably more so from the Caucasian race, the white folk. Sometimes they don't want to see no black doctor. You hear that. You hear that more often.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It could be just as much in the black community, but you hear about that a lot, especially in the older, folks. You'll hear a story. It may be viral right now of how the old man say, I'm not seeing no black doctor.
Exactly.
You want to see somebody that looks like you and can understand you, and that kind of thing.
And has the language, the cultural language and point of view that you have as well. That's very important. I thought it was interesting to find out that white people are the only racial group in which the majority of people with severe psychological distress get treatment.
Say that one more time.
Yes. There's a study that found that white people are the only racial group in which the majority of people with severe psychological distress get treatment. And more than half of people facing severe mental illness who are Black, Hispanic, or Asian do not get it. And that, has to do partially with the stigma of just, Black people not being comfortable even talking. Like, a lot of Black youth talk about, and there are memes all over the internet, talking to a Black parent about mental health is like talking to a brick wall.
Wow.
They're going to default to where you got a roof over your head.
Yeah.
Where you got, the lights are on.
Man up, boy.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So there's that initial barrier that Black people have to get over. And once they're over that barrier, then they've got to face the universal barriers.
Well, I got to take my hat off, if I had a hat, to white folks, because when you see, celebrities, whatever, when you hear, they're like, hey, I went to go see my therapist and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And I'm feeling good. I was listening to, one of those the great NPR hosts that make $400,000 a year. And she was like, hey, no, I go to a therapist now. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
And you would think that she's on top of the world.
Mm-hmm.
No shame in the game, folks.
Absolutely.
Right?
Right. Yeah. But what we do need to realize is that it is a privilege to have the ability to see a therapist, and not everybody has that access to therapy.
Again, this is Black Mental Matters, Vince and Makeba, and we're going to take a short pause for the cause. We're talking about those barriers to treatment, particularly in the Black community, but we're also going to talk about, what you can do to overcome these barriers. So you don't want to go anywhere. Keep it right here. It's Black Mental Matters. Black Mental Matters with Vince the Voice and Makeba Reed Johnson, and today we are talking about barriers to treatment, barriers, folks, because again, I'm hard-headed, just like everybody other Black man out there, it's got to be falling apart for me to, but then when I want to go and get some help with this, it's not as easy sometimes to access, and so that I know is a big thing for you, and so let's talk about again these barriers that are out there.
Sure. So Vince, as we've been talking about, seeking therapy and applauding people that say that they have therapists now, we have to take into consideration that is a privilege.
Okay.
A lot of people do not have health insurance. Some people do have health insurance, but the health insurance does not cover mental health to the point where they can afford the service. There's also, and I didn't know this until recently, but there's no such thing as an insurance covered annual mental health exam the way there is the physical exam.
Wow.
Right. So that would be a great starting point for people to have that annual exam. Then therein lies your metric of, okay, this is where I should be, but this is where I am now. So I need to start seeking some treatment.
It's interesting you say that, because my wife has a new employer, and they actually have a great insurance, thank God, program, and I have to go for a wellness. I'll tell y'all about that next week. But before they even got into asking me about my physical, they had me go through this. How do you feel about this? How are you feeling? So they were kind of,
That's
they
great.
have the EAP program, Employee
Right.
Assisted Program. Yeah, I thought
That's really good.
it kind of sort of
Kudos to
I was like, why are they asking me all these
That's
questions?
good.
How would you describe yourself? Jovial, serious?
That's
they had a whole
excellent.
laundry list of questions. So yeah, that's good for me. But a lot of people, as you say, don't have access to health insurance. So what can you do? What resources, what opportunities are there out there for folks who don't have insurance?
Sure. Well, first of all, you should seek in-network first. If you do have insurance,
Okay.
you should begin your journey to wellness on your health plan's website. If you don't have insurance, there are some federally qualified health centers, some local social services agency. If you're a student, whether in high school or college, they do have counselors there.
They do have, at the
Right.
college. A lot of students don't take advantage
No.
of the stuff at
Right.
college. I remember telling my boys, go down there, man, you there.
It's free 99 right now.
Free I love that. I never used that one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. But a lot of times, and I don't want to divvy off too much, but a lot of times the attitude in college is, I just want to get up out of there. No, you realize and utilize every
Absolutely.
resource they have there while you're there.
Yes.
And they have access
because
to.
you're paying for it in
You're
your
paying
student
for it
fees.
as part of it. So, and mental health services is a part of that. That's a good one.
Absolutely.
That's a good one. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. You can also ask therapists, that you are interviewing or getting in contact about a sliding fee scale. A lot of them won't advertise that on their website or on their page, but a lot of them do offer sliding fee scales as low as $10, $20 per hour, just depending on your income level. A good suggestion is to call NAMI, or to contact NAMI, the National.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Give that acronym.
Sure. It's the National Alliance on Mental Health. You can text NAMI to 741-741.
They have a lot of resources. I look to them, when I'm doing research or just, they have a lot of resources. I know here in this Atlanta area, they're close to the DeKalb. They're in DeKalb County, I believe. And they work closely with the mental health courts and everything.
Absolutely.
So they'll be on the show soon.
Oh, excellent. I was going to ask that.
They'll be here soon. Yes.
Awesome. Also, Vince, your local training institutes may provide free sessions for up to 2 years.
You say training?
Yes. Your local psychoanalytical training institute, which is basically the organization locally that is certifying your health professional, your clinical psychologist, your psychiatrist.
Okay.
Those entities generally require the patient to commit to 3 to 5 times a week for psychoanalytic therapy sessions over a period of at least 1 to 2 years. And that's to benefit the training of the student. And of course, that student has already completed a certain level of academic requirements, and they are supervised, and you are getting the same level of treatment that you would get if you were getting treatment with an LPC
Almost
or a
like
psychotherapist.
when you go to a beauty school to get
Absolutely.
your hair done, something that would have cost you from a licensed beautician, $120, you're getting it for $30.
Right.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you're also, if you do that, you are helping to
train.
Right. To get more people interested into becoming psychotherapists, because you're then helping the academic side.
Wow. Oh, I like that one a lot. Write these down, ladies
Right.
and gentlemen. Write these down.
Right. Also, university hospitals like Emory and nonprofit organizations are often eager to put students to work for a low fee. Most qualified training hospitals have a department of psychiatry and outpatient psychology, and those programs offer low or free or sliding fee scale fees.
When you said a university, is that the same as like a state? Like a state college's university?
Right. So any
hospital?
university that has, say, a psychology program,
Okay.
They are offering that PhD to those students. So those students have to be getting that type of training by having the exposure of training or conducting clinical sessions.
Okay.
So they have to recruit clients for that.
Okay.
And like I said, that's a very controlled, monitored program. You will be seeing somebody that's at a very high level caliber of professionalism and credentials with that.
That one seems to be within reach for a lot of folks.
Absolutely.
That one right there. So let's make it plain for them again. If there's someone in your family or yourself that is needing some mental health treatment, you don't know where to go, that local university hospital.
Absolutely. Right. Yes. Right. Or any university system
Or
that you
any
can contact the
university
head of
system.
that department, the head of the
Okay.
psychology
Okay.
department, or public health, as they have it Emory can also link you into those mental health professionals as well.
Very good, very good, very good.
Yeah.
Again, these barriers to treatment beyond, just like you say, beyond the stigma, which unfortunately is such a barrier in the Black community. What did Dr. Pivot, snitches get stitches. Don't you be telling that your daddy crazy, that we got Uncle Junior up in the up in the attic and everything. But look, some folks, we can get some help. And when we come back, we're going to give you some more tips and tricks on how you can get that help. Keep it right there. It's Black Mental Matters. Black Mental Matters with Vince and Makeba, and today we're knocking down those barriers. I know they're there. We're knocking down those barriers so that we can get some help in the Black community for our mental health. Ain't that right, Makeba?
That is absolutely correct.
You told us a couple things, a number of things that we can do, and that if you're serious about it, there are resources out there. One of them, Makeba, and you're seeing it on television, like this talk space, and I've seen a number of ads on television. I got to do more research, but ways to access therapy using technology now.
Right. And that's very beneficial, Vince, because you're meeting people where they are. A lot of people think that therapy is inconvenient because you've got to schedule it in the day outside of work. You've got to make time to go there. You've got to come up with an excuse to your employer as to where you are. And those people are providing services that help people to overcome a barrier, which is the access of it.
You know what? When you just said that, I feel so guilty because that would be me. What, you want me to go down there? You want me to
85 North.
Go downtown. Got to pay for parking. Now I'm talking about my mental health. You want me to do all that?
Right.
So I think the biggest barrier is ourselves.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. The biggest barrier is you.
Yeah.
And your perception of where you are and how hard it is to get therapy sometimes. And sometimes it just takes you just taking the first steps.
Right.
Without thinking about it.
Right. And I mean, you may have to do a little digging, to find the person, the facility, the program, what have you, but they are out there.
Right.
And that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah. And we were just talking about, people that are having a hard time paying for it because of lack of insurance. With that, you need to see if you don't have insurance, you need to see if you are eligible for Medicaid. And that is income based. So a lot of people aren't even thinking about that, but that also is an option. A very commendable organization that I give a lot of kudos to is the Open Path Psychotherapy Collective.
Okay. And
that's a nonprofit that matches middle and lower income people and families with affordable mental health services and education. So that is sort of like a referral service, but it's based upon your income level. So they're going to match you with somebody that they already know that you can afford to see, because that's also a barrier. Sometimes you will, be looking for mental health treatment or a mental health professional, and then you find this person and they're $150 per hour.
Right.
And, a lot of people can't afford to pay that. And a lot of people are cutting back on their number of sessions because of the cost per session. Yeah. So when you're able to remove that barrier, you have a lot more access to a lot more treatment.
And of course, there's a number of numbers out there, 800 numbers,
right.
Suicide prevention lines, and there are others that are, just about every diagnosis or what have you, a laundry list of numbers. So that's at least at a minimum perhaps there's someone on the other end that could give you some direction. You have the Psychology Today website, when you're talking about looking for therapists and things like that. But those numbers can be of help for sure.
Sure. I mean, I just want to give the Open Path Collective 1-800 number. If I can, it's 1-800-268-2833.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Open Path. All right. And again, as we said, it begins with you. We are probably the biggest barrier to getting this help in our community. The stigma is false.
Absolutely.
It's nothing wrong with seeking help, and especially when it's yourself or someone that you love. So, what else you got, Makeba?
I'm sure. Well, just to like you were talking about the suicide prevention hotline. I don't have that number with me. I should.
We'll give it to them.
Okay, great. But if you are desperately in need of immediate care, you need to physically visit a community mental health clinic or call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. So if you feel like, if you're having suicidal ideation, that's not something you can wait and address. If you are, planning the methodology to execute your suicide, you need to seek treatment immediately. You cannot wait.
No, you can't wait. You can't wait. I would dare to say also that, within the faith-based community that, I've learned of various ministers who actually started out, with psychology and then went to theology school or something like that. So I would not be afraid, if I was you, to ask my minister if there was some assistance or some help that they could refer you to. And I'm understanding that is becoming more a topic in the Black church now.
Right. And a lot of churches are providing counseling services to their members. So that's something that's brand new. And that's also, the treatment barrier, the access. You are already in church. You already have a relationship with the people that are around you, and you're more comfortable to talk about where you are mentally, because it's tied to your spirituality as well.
Yeah, I think that would be outstanding. And then there's some people that hopefully, I'm sure they do care about you a whole lot.
Absolutely.
Because she got that same outfit on she wore last week. We got to keep it light, folks, because, sometimes
it's a heavy topic.
Yeah, it's a heavy topic. But boy, when the things are done right and people come out on the other end, I'm telling you, it's no better feeling than that. So,
absolutely.
Makeba, I think we've given them some good stuff here today.
I think so too. I just think everybody needs to, walk away with, from this podcast with, the question in your mind: where are you with your mental health? Are you where you want to be emotionally and mentally? Are you feeling good when you wake up in the morning? And if you are not feeling like you are operating at, maximum capacity or where you really should be, you really need to start looking at that.
Thanks so much, Makeba. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time. We'll hear you next time. We'll talk to you next time.
We'll see you online.
Yeah. Oh, what's that hashtag?
Black Mental Matters.
Oh, it's not internet hell saved my life. Ivania, what's her name? Oprah. We'll see you next time.
Bye.